I'm joined right now here on Radio Row by former NFL executive and general manager Mike Tannenbaum. He joins us here. Obviously, Mike, Super Bowl week. You know, it's always fun. There's a lot of buzz going around in the air. How you doing?
Doing great. This is a great week in the NFL calendar.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the best times. It's fun. Obviously, the big game on Sunday. We're all excited for that. But, you know, you and your executive background, I wanted to ask you a little bit about just the whole process that leads up. Because after the Super Bowl, everyone's focused on NFL draft, free agency. First off, we just had the Senior Bowl. You know, in your opinion, when you look at this year's NFL draft class, how are you feeling about some of the top prospects in this year's class?
I think defensive line to start with is absolutely loaded. Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, David Abajo, his teammate at Michigan. I thought Jermaine Johnson was outstanding at the Senior Bowl. I think there's going to be a number of pass rushers that go early.
Well, you know, pass rushers, we have that. Offensive lineman, too.
Yep.
We had Ike Mekwanwu join us yesterday.
Yeah.
He is a mauler amongst men.
Yes, he is. He's an intriguing prospect. I think when it's all said and done, he'll be a top 10, top 15 pick, if not higher. Evan Neal, of course, from Alabama. So I think, the story of this draft right now is the players up front on both sides of the ball.
Going back to your executive experience, though, NFL free agency, this is going to be an interesting year, unlike any we've ever had before, because the salary cap is going to rise exponentially this offseason. Now, from your background in the football administration side, what type of flexibility do you feel like it would give you as someone who's in a decision-making position to be able to make moves to better your roster?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some teams that will certainly be able to do that. But I think, generally speaking, more of the money is still going to go to less of the players, meaning like Devontae Adams, if Green Bay wants to keep him on a non-franchise situation, is it 23 million, 24, 25? They're not going to lose a player over $2 million a year with the cap going up the way it is. So while I think macro, it's going to make a big difference, I do think a lot of the increase is going to go to a few players.
Well, and the big talk this offseason, it's revolving a lot around what's Aaron Rodgers going to do. We've seen Tom Brady retire. In your opinion, how do you maybe see that situation playing out with the Green Bay Packers and Rodgers?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if he moved on. There was a lot of noise about that last year. And I think one of the things like we learned was like seeing the fulfillment Tom Brady had not only on the field but off the field in a meaningful way when he went from New England to Tampa Bay. And I'm sure the Russell Wilsons, the Aaron Rodgers of the world have sort of like noticed that. And I, as a fan of the sport, would love to see Aaron Rodgers retire a Packer, something that, Brett Favre didn't, Joe Montana, Steve Young, like most of the all-time greats go someplace else. It'd be nice to see Aaron Rodgers retire a Packer.
No, spot on right there, too. And getting into some NFL head coaching news. Obviously, the cycle is now complete, ladies and gentlemen. Mike McDaniel rounds out with the Miami Dolphins. Now, in your opinion, Mike McDaniel coming over from the San Francisco 49ers, coming to the Dolphins organization with Tua Tagovailoa, what type of task does he have entering that situation, which seemed kind of turbulent last year?
Yeah, there's one more, Minnesota, which reportedly will be Kevin O'Connell after the Super Bowl, the Rams offensive coordinator. I think, Mike McDaniel, what we'll see is, last year, they were most productive offense in the league on design rollouts. They had 6 touchdowns. I believe they were 33 out of 40 on design rollouts. So I think that's something we'll probably see the Miami offense. Typically, when a head coach comes over from a different system, that system comes with them. And I think that's probably what we'll see with the Dolphins offense.
Unprecedented times here in the National Football League, especially with a lot of change. That's the one constant. Are there any top free agents that you have your eye on here, seeing maybe where they end up in 2022?
I think the receiver position is kind of interesting. There's, 3 big ones in Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, and obviously Devontae Adams. So Godwin coming off of the injury, still a great player. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out with those 3 players. And again, as you mentioned earlier, from a big picture standpoint, the cap is going up, but the question is going to be, do some of these players not get franchised?
That'll be an interesting conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, the franchise tag is always a big topic of discussion entering here in the offseason. Free agency coming up for various teams. Grateful enough to be joined by Mike Tannenbaum here on today's episode Pro Football Network Daily. Trey Wingo giving us some crap right here. We're going to have him on a little bit later on here in the show. But ladies and gentlemen, Mike Tannenbaum, thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
Radio Pro here continues.
Trey.
Absolutely. Well, you're fantastic. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen.